Hey folks, Bert here from Pixel Armory, and today I got some really cool stuff to show you with some of our new projects. Now, the Harrisburg Comicon is coming up here on June 11th and 12th, and we are super pumped to do it. We've got some VIP tickets, and we're going to be seeing some really cool people while we're there. We're going to be showing it and uploading everything we do to our channel, and it's going to be a lot of fun because we've never actually had this opportunity here in Pennsylvania before, so we're really amped to see what happens. I've been personally working on my suit for the cosplay competition, as well as Murph, who's one of the other channel hosts. You have yet to see him, but he will be on soon. He's working on some of his projects. But today, I've got something very cool, and it's actually sitting right here. Now, people would ask me, well, Bert, what are you going to go to for Comic Con? What are you going to go to? I mean, I obviously have a whole bunch of stuff from Sword Art Online and Halo and Destiny here. Well, I happen to really like Destiny. I know some people don't. I know the story's absolute crap, but it's actually a really good team play game. And I have plenty of hand cannons. I have plenty of primaries. I'm taking the Metha class, which is my favorite still. Always probably will be as my primary. But they're like, you have no heavy weapons. You have nothing heavy. What are you going to take? Well, I think I figured it out. So I never actually used this in the game, but I've been told it's pretty badass. And I got to say, I'm really happy as to the way that this came out. Now this here is the raised lighter. Few things. It is to scale. I got this off of My Mini Factory. That one of the guys was kind enough to upload a really well engineered model. It actually has a hollow core that runs through the length of the hilt, and then from the blade to the tip where it's hollow. And it actually has a steel rod going within it for reinforcement, which means this thing's actually, I mean, you're not going to be able to crack people with it, which sometimes I would love to do, but it's very durable, especially for the geometry of it and the shape of it. It's not bad. So I'm going to be giving you guys some updates here over the next few days of me getting this detailed and painted and put together and everything. And I just have to say that it looks really cool. We are really amped to see this because when this is done, this is going to be going on a wall, probably in a glass case, and we'll just use it as a reminder of the first Comic-Con that we all went to. But one of the other things that people have asked me for is, oh, I love this gun, the Vex Mythoclast. Now, this is also to scale, and as many people can see, this is the genuine article. I mean, this was 3D printed out from my 3D printer. And I love this thing. I mean, this is awesome. And this is one of the iconic guns from Destiny. I think this, and probably a few of the other ones, Patience and Time. I know the Icebreaker. I want to make the Icebreaker. I have the model for it. It's going to take a while. I think the next thing on my list is probably the BFG 9000 from the new Doom, which I absolutely love. I'm not going to be printing it full scale, though. I will say that right now. It is absolutely way too big. I'm going to make it relatively to the size of probably the hard light, just so that it's a little more ergonomic, because it's so big it would never fit in my car. If you've ever seen the full-size scale that My Mini Factory made, they made a full 1-to-1 scale of the BFG to the size that it is in the game, and it took like 40 pounds of filament, which is more filament than I've probably ever used, it was just a ridiculous amount. But the Mythoclast came out really nice. It's a very nice feel. It's got a real good ergonomics to it, oddly enough. Since it isn't a video game, and video game geometry doesn't always really work out well in the real world. But I gotta say, I really like it. It is really cool. Now, it did take some touching up and a little bit of work. There's the Destiny STL generator, which is what a lot of the models that I get from, or where I get the models from, and then I start putting them into NetFab and some of the other programs, and I clean them up and I make them work better in the real world for geometry, because there are hollow spots and they're not watertight, so to speak, whenever I get the models. But the Vex Mythoclast is just a great piece. I love it a lot. This is probably going to be the first piece I'm going to be carrying around with me during the convention. I'll have a hand cannon or two, and I'll probably end up taking the raised lighter the second day, just to change things out a little bit, because I don't want to carry around the same stuff every day. I'll probably keep stuff out in our vehicle, and I'll trade out in the middle of the day, considering In PA, it's going to be very, very hot, so I'm probably gonna have to go out to the car to get something to eat anyway, since the food at the convention generally sucks. If you not saying anyone, if you're bringing food to the convention, probably best to pack a lunch though. One other gun that someone else had asked about, and let me set this back, is the Pocket Infinity. Now, this is probably one of my favorite guns. I love this thing. This is my go-to gun when something gets really close to me and I don't want it to. You know, whenever I have a Praetorian coming down on me and I just want to unload it and make it go away, I pull out this bad boy. Now, I know whenever they reworked it, it kind of made it suck. But all in all, it's still a very aesthetically pleasing gun. Now, if you'll notice, it has a lot of silver on it, which is what my suit actually has. It has a lot of wear on it. I don't want to go to a convention and look like I've got a fancy nice suit. No, I want it to look like I've actually been through the muck and I've been killing stuff and I've got the crap kicked out of me while doing it. I want it to look weathered. I want it to look tattered. I want it to look like, hey, this guy's actually been somewhere. He's done something. He hasn't just been sitting at home watching TV. No, he's actually been out there doing it. So, it's got a nice wear on it, and that actually ends up covering up a lot of the imperfections that you get whenever you 3D print stuff, because it's not perfect. They rarely are ever perfect. I have one perfect model, and that's the Hawk Moon sitting over there, and I've yet to put it together just because I've got so much other crap going on. But the Pocket Infinity is probably going to be with my primary armament for the second day. Go ahead and put this away. And I actually had a gentleman who just offered to buy this. This is the Last Word. I actually printed this originally for my wife because she's not a big Destiny fan, but she saw me making all this stuff and she's like, well, what would a good gun for me? I'm like, Last Word? Like, because we all know you never win an argument with a woman. Anyway, the point is, it's a really cool gun. Now, the hardest thing with this gun is that you've got all of this interlaying gold work. And this is actually all recessed. The best way I figured out to do that was I just took regular acrylic paint like this crap. It's like $1.99 for this, and you could paint a lot of guns with this mount, so this stuff really isn't that expensive. And then you mix it with acetone and a little bit of water, and you just water it down. And then what I did is I just took a syringe and slowly started filling it in and let it dry. And then I buffered it once and got this really, really nice inlay. I'm not going to make this gun again because it was a total pain in the butt to do. Not to say that I didn't really like it. It does pop out. It's got all the pieces and the parts, and it's got a really, really good feel to it. And I mean, it is a big gun. It is a big gun. It's not as big as my Smith & Wesson 500, in my opinion, only because when that thing, you shoot it, you feel like your hand's going to break. And, I mean, it's Destiny. It's a hand cannon, so I'm sure if this thing was real, it probably would break my wrist. What else do we have? Well, we've got... So, I'm going as a hunter. I primarily like to do Titan armor, because I generally go as a Titan, but I just did not have the time to make it. So what I did is I went for something a little bit generalized. Now, let me move some of my stuff around on my desk here. Alright, so the armor is relatively straightforward. It's got, shoulder pads here. Now, I saw a lot of the suits that people make online, and it was very interesting. It's, because you can really do whatever you want. As long as you've got the patience to do it. And really, with me, I'm an incredibly impatient person, hence why I have a 3D printer. I don't like to really make the stuff sometimes just because I've got so much else going on. I can't dedicate all that much time. Fortunately, I've cleared my schedule to allow myself to do this, which was actually really, really neat. I found online there were a couple people who did really, really, really good models. There's a guy who does SKS props who made a really, really nice hunter model, and he made chest armor, and I had looked at the way he had done the geometry for the chest pieces, and I decided to not steal it. I borrowed it because I'm not very good at stitching, but a lot of this, it really comes back to doing seamstress work almost. And I had ended up pulling apart one of my t-shirts, one of my compression fitting t-shirts that I use when I go to the gym, and pulled apart the thread, laid it out, and I said, okay, so that's what it looks like when it fits around me. How can I shrink it down? So then I looked at the model of what he did, and I cut it, and then I did the compression fitting, and it fit really, really well. And then I just traced this onto some EVA foam that I got from the local Harbor Freight store. It's like a mile down the road. I paid $10 for 4 sheets, and I made this, I made some leg pieces, I made shoulder pieces, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I still have pieces left over for $10. So this whole thing cost me probably $9 to make. And then with being a hunter, you're generally you're gonna carry. You see them, they have like pouches and they have bullets and some other stuff. So what I did is I just made some regular 40 millimeter grenades that would go in like an M203 grenade launcher, and then I shrunk them down. Just scaled them down to put them right here. And what this is also doing is this is covering up where I have the seams going together, so you don't see any of the seams. And then I have these buckles here, which is something you see on a lot of the Destiny armor. Depending on what programs you use, you can actually pull apart the individual armor pieces when you download them from the STL generator, which is what I did. And so I saw these buckles, and I'm like, those look really cool. These are actually from one of the chest armors. I don't remember. I know these are from the Armamentium, which I really like. When I'm a Titan, it's all about ammo and explosives and bang. And I carry a lot of bullets when I'm a hunter or when I'm a Titan, just because I'm burning through it as fast as I can. Then we've got the knife here. Now the knife is relatively simple. It's just I made a knife and then I tied a shoelace around it, an old black shoelace, and it just goes up here, and it's just a compression fitting. It's not anything fancy, but it fits really, really tight. I'm not going to go ahead and put it on because I look like a total dork putting it on, and it is a tight fit, but it's made to fit me appropriately. That's why. On the back, I just have some elastic. So it is made to breathe with me a little bit, because otherwise I would suffocate when I'm wearing this, especially in PA on middle of June. It's going to be about 90 degrees, and the convention center isn't always cooled as much as I'd like, especially since I've been there quite a lot. Then the next thing that I'm working on is I'm not doing a whole lot with the chest armor or with the leg armor. I'm going to do a nice set of gauntlets. So I have the young Akahira spine thing. I don't know how you say it. Here's the head for it. It came out pretty well. Very angular a little bit. I'm going to do some weathering on it and make it look like, I've obviously been killing something and blood got all over it of some alien or robotic creature, God knows what. But it looks really, really nice. And, as you know in the game, these are not, they're all like held together by like a leather strap. I'm just going to have these be floating. So what this is going to do is this strap here is going to get glued onto the underside of the shoulder for the armor. That way, so it's floating and it fits fairly nice. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that I could have this sitting on my arm, but this thing's actually really, really sharp. If you look at those teeth, I sliced my arm open the other day. Didn't tell my wife, but yeah, it's very sharp and it sucks. So if someone bumps into me at the convention, I don't need those front teeth, plunging into my skin and I'm bleeding everywhere, because that would really suck. Aside from that, I've got the Fatebringer Hawk Moon. I've got the Thorn, which is the Thorn was actually my original piece I made. My very first Destiny gun when I was learning to use a 3D printer, and it came out good. That being said, I'm doing a lot better now, so I don't have to worry about it. I love the Thorn. I absolutely hated the shit out of the process of going through to get it originally, and I'm probably not going to be taking it, mainly because I don't want anyone to try and steal it, because the last time I went to a convention sort of like this, people actually try and steal stuff from you when you're holding it, which is kind of unfortunate when you have to throw someone into a table to get your stuff back. Anyway, so I'm taking a bit bigger of items this time that are a little bit harder to get away with. But that being said, I gotta say, it's looking really good for us here at the Harrisburg Comicon. I hope to see some of you guys there. You're not going to recognize me unless you see someone carrying around a Mythoclast. Yeah, then it's probably going to be me, because I'm going to be the only person there with something like that. I am wearing the Third Man mask. I will tell you that much. Now, I did print it out, and then I ended up having my sister, who is a fantastic sculptor, end up doing some really, really intricate sculpting work around the mantle and the headpiece of it to make it look really, really, really good. And, I'm obviously going to go there to, make some friends and just have a good time. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, we're going to the Comic-Con. We're not doing it to advertise for us. We're just going to it to have a lot of fun, because this kind of an opportunity we've never had before, and we're really, really looking forward to it. So if you're looking for a good time, next Saturday and Sunday, come on down to the Harrisburg Comicon. We'd love to see you. I'm sure you'd get to have a lot of fun down there. Parking might be a bit of a problem, but we look forward to seeing anybody and see you guys next time. Bert from Pixel Armory. See you later, guys.